right. Get ready for this one because today we're diving into pro soccer with a story that shows sometimes, even at the highest level, the best solutions are the simplest ones.
Interesting.
Yeah. And this deep dive comes from a recent article on Footy Headlines, a soccer news site. And this one is a real head scratcher.
It really is.
Yeah.
You would think with all the money and technology in pro sports that every piece of equipment would be like top notch.
Right.
But this story,
To toss his brand new high-tech cleats right in the trash.
wow. Yeah.
And we're not talking about any regular cleats. These were Puma's latest and greatest, the Future 8s designed for speed and agility with a fancy 360-degree speed sole plate.
You'd be kidding me.
Talk about a nightmare start.
I can't even imagine the pressure he must have been under.
Absolutely. But what did Cucurella do?
I don't know. What did he do?
He did what any resourceful player would do. He adapted.
Okay.
He ditched the fancy Future 8s and swapped them for an older model of Puma cleats, a pair that he clearly felt more comfortable and confident in.
So he went back to basics.
Exactly. And that's where we see that human element shining through. You know, in a world obsessed with the latest and greatest, sometimes it's about trusting your gut and going with what works.
It's so true.
And get this, the switch seemed to make all the difference. After the cleat swap, Cucurella went on to make a crucial assist.
Nice.
Yeah, he helped Chelsea turn the tide and secure that 4-3 victory. It's like he was saying, forget the hype, I need results.
Totally.
Right. This challenges this notion that newer technology equals better performance.
Yeah, it definitely does. It also raises questions about Puma and like their decision-making process.
Well, so let's unpack that a little.
Okay.
The article mentions that the cleats Cucurella was initially wearing were actually a teaser edition of the Future 8. So they had all the features, but without any visible Puma logos.
Oh, so they were kind of like a prototype.
Yeah, essentially they were the same cleats, just without the branding.
Ah, a marketing strategy to build hype? You see it all the time.
Yeah, but this begs the question, why would Puma release a teaser version, especially during a high-profile match, if there was a chance they might have, like, traction issues?
Right? You would think they would be worried about that.
Yeah, it's certainly a risky move.
It is.
And after the game, to add insult to injury, Cucurella went on social media and shared a photo of those discarded Future 8s.
Oh, no way.
The ones that caused him so much trouble sitting in a bin and it went viral.
Oh, so he kind of threw some shade at Puma.
Yeah, but it also opens up this conversation about technology in sports and how much trust we place in these innovations.
Absolutely.
So I think we're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah.
But before we go deeper, let's take a pause and reflect on what we've learned so far.
Okay.
We've got a professional athlete ditching high-tech gear in a crucial match, a sportswear giant potentially releasing a flawed product,
Yeah.
and this social media storm that calls into question the idea of cutting edge.
So much to unpack here.
Absolutely. I think this is where things get really interesting.
I'm all ears.
Yeah.
This whole thing with Cucurella and those cleats has me thinking.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of new technology, especially in sports where everyone wants that extra edge.
Yeah. We see it everywhere. Lighter shoes,
Yeah.
high-tech fabrics,
Yeah.
data analysis. It's all about optimization.
Oh, absolutely. But what I find interesting is that the footy,
Scenes
Yeah.
and think about how complicated product development can be
it is, it's not just
when the product isn't what it claims to be.
exactly. It's a cautionary tale about technology.
Right.
It can improve things, sure, but it's not a magic solution.
Yeah.
In the end, what matters is the person using it, their skills, their experience,
Right.
their ability to adapt and make those quick decisions.
Cucurella showed us that perfectly, right?
He did.
He trusted his gut, went back to what worked for him, and in the end, helped his team win.
Yeah. It's a good lesson for all of us.
It is.
Sometimes the old ways are still the best.
Totally. But this situation also brings up a bigger question. How much do the athletes who actually use this stuff have a say in how it's made and tested?
That's something to think about.
Right, like imagine what Puma could learn
Yeah.
if they worked closely with players like Cucurella from the start.
They get feedback on how the cleats feel, how they work on different surfaces,
Totally.
in different weather.
It just makes so much sense. It would be a win-win.
It would.
The athletes get better equipment and the brands can avoid all the bad press
Yeah.
and those expensive mistakes.
It's a shame Puma didn't do that more with these cleats.
It is.
Think of all the trouble they could have saved themselves.
So true. Think about it. You wouldn't release a new car without having race car drivers test it out on different tracks.
Of course not.
Right. And the same should go for sports equipment,
Absolutely.
especially at the pro level where everything's so competitive.
Yeah. Cucurella's story really flips the script on all our ideas about what's cutting edge. It shows us that even with all the focus on new tech, human judgment and experience are still super important.
It's like a reminder that the most advanced thing isn't always the best.
Exactly. And sometimes the best ideas come from the people who actually use the product every day.
Right. So where do we go from here?
Good question.
We've covered a lot, the excitement around new tech,
Yeah.
the need for testing the role athletes play and being smart consumers.
We've seen how something as simple as a soccer player dishing his cleats can spark all these questions
It has.
about technology, about performance, and about the trust we put in new things.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, let's take a minute to really think about what we've learned and leave our listeners with something to chew on.
Felt good.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into this whole cleat fiasco, I think it's good to take a step back and look at what we've learned.
Definitely.
We started with something that seemed pretty simple, right? A pro soccer player getting rid of his new high-tech cleats during a game. But as we dug deeper, we saw that there was so much more to it.
Way more to it.
And it made us question all the hype around new technology and reminded us that just because something is innovative doesn't mean it's going to be better.
Exactly. And it wasn't just about the cleats, was it?
No.
It was about technology in sports and even beyond that.
Totally. It got us thinking about the importance of testing things thoroughly and how athletes and brands need to work together.
Yeah, and you know what I find interesting?
What's that?
The Footy Headlines article didn't just, tell us what happened.
Yeah.
It actually asked its readers a question.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It said, are you surprised that Puma messed up the sole plate on their new future cleats? They were encouraging people to think critically about the situation,
To look beyond the surface.
Exactly.
And that's what we try to do in these deep dives, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We want to challenge those assumptions, dig deeper.
And uncover the hidden truths behind things that seem simple at first glance.
Because sometimes the most unexpected stories are the ones that teach us the most.
I think you might be listening to this and thinking, okay, so this is an interesting story about soccer cleats, but what does it have to do with me?
Right.
But it's bigger than that. We live in a world where technology is changing so fast.
It really is.
And it's easy to get caught up in wanting the newest thing.
Oh, yeah. We all do it.
But this whole Cucurella thing is a good reminder.
It is.
It reminds us to be careful about what we buy, to question what we see in ads, and to remember that sometimes our own judgment and experience are more valuable than anything.
Especially in a world where technology is everywhere.
It's like we're constantly being told that newer is better, faster is better, more advanced is better.
Yeah, but that's not always true.
Exactly. Sometimes the old ways of doing things are still the best.
The ones that have been around forever.
Exactly. So as we wrap up today, we want to leave you with a question to think about.
Okay, I like it.
If even the best athletes in the world struggle with the latest technology, how can we as regular people make good decisions about new products?
That's a tough one.
It is, how do we balance wanting something new with being cautious and thinking critically and trusting our gut?
There are no easy answers to that.
There really aren't, but it's a question worth asking.
It is.
Because it can help us make sense of this world where technology is always changing.
It's not just about cleats or cars or phones.
Right.
It's about being aware and informed and making choices that are right for us.
Exactly. And sometimes that means slowing down, ignoring the hype, and remembering that the best solutions are often the simplest ones.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.